I had fallen in love with my master. One night drunk, I confessed my feelings, only to be met with her loathing gaze. "Master defiler, shameless one," she spat out coldly, before sending me to the northern wastes to take my junior brother's place in a marriage alliance with the Wolfe Clan. 300 years later, her white robe stained with blood, she decimated the Wolfe Clan of the northern wastes. Stepping over the bones of my wife's entire clan, she said she would take me home. I held a sword to my own throat, my eyes numb. "Celestial Master Hawthorne, you jest. My wife was the chieftain of the Wolfe Clan. Now that she is gone, only by joining her can I truly go home." When my master's celestial page found me, I was kneeling, numb, in a sea of blood. Looking around, the ground was covered in charred bones. I couldn't tell which belonged to my wife, which to the young attendant who had been with me for 300 years, or if they were all one and the same. The celestial page, his face etched with anxiety, leaped from his auspicious cloud before me. "Your Highness, please come back with us. Don't keep Celestial Master Hawthorne waiting, Victoria." After 300 years hearing that name again, my pupils constricted. "Celestial Master Hawthorne? Yes, Celestial Master Hawthorne." Seeing my reaction, the celestial page's eyes lit up and he pressed on. "Your master. She has come to take you home, master." The word felt so strange. From the bustling, magnificent celestial realm to these barren northern wastes, I had waited 300 years, constantly hoping she would one day come for me. But she never did. Every day I awoke, greeted only by the round sun in a sky of swirling yellow sand, and Evelyn Wolfe's smile, as radiant as the morning sun. Evelyn Wolfe, my only solace, my only reason for being in the northern wastes for 300 years. And now, I couldn't find her. They all said Evelyn Wolfe colluded with demons, bringing chaos to the mortal realm. But only I knew that was just a false accusation leveled by the celestial realm against the Wolfe Clan. Evelyn, with her frank and straightforward nature, would never entertain such complex schemes. "I'm not leaving." I shook my head, looking around, bewildered, trying to find any trace of Evelyn. Finally, in a corner of the ruins, I saw a bright splash of red. Elation surged in my heart, and I practically scrambled over, desperate to pick up the lover's knot. A white boot, embroidered with silver thread in a subtle pattern, stepped on it. Its owner, clad in blood-stained white, held a longsword, her eyes as cold as ever, looking down on me imperiously. My heart plummeted. Long ago I had imagined our reunion countless times. Perhaps at the end of a long river in the northern wastes, under the setting sun, or perhaps beneath a bright moon. But I had never imagined it would be on this scorched earth, after she had annihilated my wife's entire clan. "Take him." Her voice was as flat as ever, leaving no room for refusal. At her command, the celestial page reached for me. Just as the celestial page's hand was about to touch me, I swiftly snatched the longsword from him, pointing it at the two before me. "I'm not leaving." The celestial page froze. She too looked at me, a hint of displeasure flickering in her cold eyes. I stared at her with lifeless eyes, millennia of adoration and affection turned to dust and ashes, leaving only an utter desolate calm. I said, "I want to stay here. Even if it means death, even if it means death." I had to find Evelyn Wolfe, even if it meant death. When Victoria led the celestial soldiers to break through the northern wastes, Evelyn had drugged me unconscious and sent me to the spirit grottos for safety. As we parted, I clearly heard her whisper in my ear that she would come find me. Though she was usually carefree and boisterous, she never broke her promises. I didn't believe she would die. I had to find her. The woman before me gave me a heavy look, then suddenly raised her hand. I instinctively recoiled. My wrist went numb from a jolt of spiritual energy. She snatched the sword from my grasp and coldly tossed out, "As you wish." Then she and the celestial page departed on their auspicious cloud. The surroundings were still desolate. With trembling hands, I picked up the lover's knot that had been trodden into the scorched earth. A wolf's fang was strung on the knot. It was from the time I was gravely injured by a flood dragon while protecting Evelyn. She fought the dragon fiercely, and it knocked out her fang. I was heartbroken for her then, but she grinned, revealing a gap in her sharp teeth, and said to me with a smile, "It's just a tooth." "What's that compared to our lives? Why don't you string it for me? I'll wear it around my neck so the tooth is still mine." I agreed, but when I strung it, I fashioned it into a lover's knot and gave it to her. That day it was the first time I saw her blush. Such a radiant person, how could she die here? She had said she defeated every skilled warrior in the Wolfe Clan to earn their respect and become their chieftain. Almost trembling, I clutched the lover's knot to my chest. A golden light flashed before my eyes and a clear white figure appeared. Unlike my current lifeless state, he looked as innocent as ever. "Senior brother, you won't come back with us. Is it because you're still angry with me? Why bother, senior brother? Master only made you marry in here because she was worried about my frail health. See, she's come to take you back now. Don't be so stubborn." His words, both overt and implied, accused me of being unreasonable and flaunted Victoria's concern for him. But I was no longer the person whose heart and eyes were filled only with Victoria. I would no longer be easily angered by his casual provocations. I ignored him, anxiously walking on, wanting to find that familiar figure. The lover's knot was here, so Evelyn should be nearby too. Perhaps my disregard made him lose face. Ethan Stone suddenly rushed in front of me, looking me up and down, and sneered, "Right. Evelyn Wolfe colluded with a demon realm. If I were you, I'd certainly have no face to return to the celestial bang I threw a punch, my eyes sharp. You? You're not worthy to speak her name." Ethan Stone stood there, stunned by my blow. I didn't look at him again and strode away. I don't know how long I wandered alone on this barren land. The sun rose and set, then rose again. I was a mess, still unable to find Evelyn. But then I saw her again. In the faint morning light, she stood where the sky met the horizon, blocking the little light that reached me. Ethan, clutching his swollen cheek, timidly hid behind her, grasping her sleeve, and said considerately, "Master, senior brother probably didn't mean to hit me. Don't blame him. It's my fault." I shouldn't have mentioned Evelyn Wolfe and the demons. Before he could finish, I raised my hand again. Ethan, terrified, quickly hid behind her again. But she raised a hand, grabbed my wrist, and stopped my movement. I sneered. "What? Come to settle scores with me on his behalf again?" He slandered my wife. "What's wrong with me hitting him?" Her gaze flickered, long lashes veiling her eyes. "She is not your wife." But her grip on my hand did not loosen. I tried to pull my hand back forcefully, but she gripped it even tighter, so hard it felt like she would crush my wrist. "She is merely a traitor to the celestial realm." Victoria looked at me coldly, her thin lips uttering merciless words. "Chu-Yan, come back with Master. You shouldn't be dragged down by her." "Master?" I sneered. "Have you forgotten how you called me a master defiler and shameless one? 500 years ago, drunk, I had curled up before her couch, carefully confessing my young heart's secrets. But she had suddenly opened her eyes and slapped me off the couch. The celestial realm was like spring year-round and never saw rain. But that day, influenced by her emotions, dark clouds gathered. Rain poured in torrents, and lightning flashed, as if it would pierce the roof and strike me in two. In the darkness, her face, illuminated by lightning, as cool and remote as a banished immortal's, was clearly filled with disgust. She stepped off the couch, bent down to pick up the wine pot from the table, and threw its contents over my head. I was drenched to the bone, chilled. Head bowed, I called her master, but she turned back and berated me hoarsely. "Master defiler, shameless one, don't call me master anymore. I have no such shameless disciple as you." After that day, she, who had once promised I would be her only disciple, brought back a young junior brother from the mortal realm, named Ethan Stone. When he first arrived at Stormhaven Pass, he was timid, clutching her sleeve and hiding behind her. He peeked out his small head to look at me and asked her, "Master, is he my senior brother?" "No." Victoria's cold gaze swept over me. an insignificant person. Pay him no mind. She led Ethan past me, so aloof she wouldn't even spare me a glance. At that moment, I realized she detested me. However much she had doted on me before, that was how much she detested me then. So, when Ethan, blinking his innocent eyes, had looked through every room in Stormhaven Pass and finally pointed to mine, saying to her, "Master, I want to live here," she, without a word, used a simple spell to throw all my belongings out. The crystal lamp, the violet-hued sprigs, the soulfire beacon, all the little gifts she had specially given me before she smashed them all to pieces. Ethan covered his mouth with his hands and said, "What a pity." Her expression was indifferent. She reached out and ruffled Ethan's hair. "That will be your room from now on. If you like, Master will give you more." Her tone was gentle, her words overflowing with doting affection, just as she used to be with me. My blood rushed to my head. Eyes red, I couldn't help but dash over and demand where she intended to put me. But she coldly pulled her sleeve from my grasp, tore it off and burned it with a flick of her hand. Ashes trickled from between her fingers. Shielding Ethan behind her, she gave me a cold look. "For the sake of our hundreds of years as master and disciple, I won't drive you away. But don't think of pushing your luck." Indeed, for our hundreds of years of master-disciple relationship, she didn't drive me away. Yet every time Ethan fabricated complaints about me to her, she would punish me by making me copy texts, without allowing me a single word of argument. Even 300 years ago, when the Celestial Realm chose my junior brother for the marriage alliance with the Wolfe Clan, she gently stroked his hair and said, "Don't be afraid. If you don't want to go, you don't have to. With Master here, no one will dare force you." Then she coldly lifted her gaze to me, seated below, and said, "Chuyan, you will go to the northern wastes in Ethan's place." Her tone was resolute. It wasn't a question, it was a direct order. The northern wastes were desolate and bleak. Though I had cultivated for nearly 1,000 years, my true form was still a lotus spirit. I couldn't survive without the waters of Silver Spring Loch in the Celestial Realm. Going to the northern wastes meant certain death. I knelt there, stunned, looking up as Ethan, teary-eyed, nestled in her embrace. The two of them were intimately close. Disregarding their master-disciple status, they looked like an enviable, loving couple. It felt as if a gaping hole had been torn in my heart. Only then did I understand. There was no master-defiler, no shameless one. It all stemmed from one simple fact: she did not like me. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. She didn't like me, so no matter how I tried to please her, I would always incur her displeasure. I shot up to my feet before her and sneered. The Celestial Emperor chose him. Why should I go in his place? Seeing this, Ethan, tears streaming, rose from her embrace, knelt on the floor, his long sleeve half covering his face, and pleaded softly, "Master, it's my fault. Senior brother is right. The Celestial Emperor chose me. I'll go to the marriage. Please don't make things difficult for Senior brother. Get up first, don't cry." Victoria bent down and gently helped him up. "If you don't want to go, you don't have to. You are Master's disciple, no one can force you." I swallowed the bitterness in my heart, tilted my head up, and questioned her word by word. "No one can force him, so you'll force me instead? Is that it? We are both your disciples. What am I in your eyes?" Perhaps my gaze was too direct, too sharp, or perhaps she worried I would harm Ethan. She took a step forward, shielding Ethan behind her, and turned her head away, avoiding my gaze. "I took you in for 500 years, guided you to take human form. Chuyan, it's time you repaid my kindness. The 500 years I cherished, valued, and wished could last forever had become a debt she called in to protect Ethan. It felt as if a sharp stone was lodged in my throat, tearing at my windpipe, almost suffocating me. I clenched my fists, my head dropping, utterly dejected. I said, "Fine." Victoria's pupils constricted. She seemed to want to say something, but ultimately nothing came out. The day I was sent to the northern wastes was a bright, sunny day. No white doves saw me off, no celestial hymns played. Dressed in a bright red wedding robe, I was escorted by her to the border between the two territories. Thank you, Celestial Master Hawthorne, for escorting my husband here. A girl's clear and bright voice rang out. I looked up and saw Evelyn Wolfe's eyes, clear as crystal. The next moment she took my hand, looked into my eyes with utmost seriousness, and said word by word, "Husband, don't be afraid. I will protect you from now on." I froze, then a sharp pain shot through my wrist. Only then did I notice that Victoria had at some point grabbed my wrist. Then I heard the girl ask me, "Fair one, what is your name?" "Chu Yan." Victoria answered for me before I could, her hand gripping my wrist, tighter and tighter still. Only when I flinched and tried to pull my hand away did she release me. "Wait for Master to take you back." The girl's name was Evelyn Wolfe. She was the next chieftain of the Wolfe Clan. That day, my first in the northern wastes, lacking the nurturing waters of Silver Spring Loch. I hadn't walked far, led by her hand, before my strength failed and I was on the verge of death. It was she who carried me on her back, racing all the way to the Celestial Emperor to beg for that pool of water for me. Only then did she carry my unconscious form back to the northern wastes. She said, "Chu Yan, don't be afraid. I'm a wolf. I only like to eat meat, not little lotuses." Evelyn Wolfe. She was as radiant as the rising sun, illuminating my life in the northern wastes for 300 years. And now, she was gone. All gone. The memories stopped abruptly, my thoughts returning to the present. I gazed at the scorched earth, and when my eyes fell upon the face of the person before me, she seemed utterly unfamiliar. She frowned, staring intently at me, and repeated, "Come home with Master." I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms, and stared fixedly at her. Suddenly I raised my hand, and spiritual light formed a longsword. Victoria's pupils constricted. Almost instinctively she pulled Ethan behind her, glaring at me warily. But I placed the longsword against my own neck, my eyes numb. "Celestial Master, please leave. I'm not going to any celestial realm, nor do I have any master. Since my wife is gone, I should accompany her. That is my only home now." She froze for a moment. Then her expression turned sinister. Before I could move, she swiftly formed a hand seal, knocked the sword from my grasp, and seized my throat, her voice cold with fury. "Don't think Master wouldn't dare to kill you. Then kill me." I didn't bother to struggle, looking calmly into her eyes. I'd forgotten how long it had been since I'd soaked in the waters of Silver Spring Loch. My voice was terribly hoarse. "I need to find Evelyn. She'll be scared if I'm not there." Lin Chu Yan Victoria practically spat out the 3 words through clenched teeth, her hand tightening on my neck, veins bulging on the back of her hand. My eyelashes trembled. When she still didn't strike, I couldn't help but lift my eyelids to look at her. "Celestial Master, are you not going to kill me? Then let me go. I need to find her. Don't even think about it." She suddenly released her grip, only to forcefully grab my throat again, compelling me to meet her gaze. "Look at me, Chu Yan. You can only stay by my side. Want to find her? In your next life." Victoria bound me securely and forcibly took me back to the celestial realm. To imprison me, she had a new palace specially built for me. Complex wards were placed both inside and outside the palace. No outsiders could enter, except for her. She often came alone, sometimes bringing a crystal lamp, sometimes food. She would gently serve me food, as if completely oblivious to the hatred in my eyes. I hated this facade of hers the most. Her hands were stained with so much blood, yet she could still put on an air of breezy purity, as if untouched by worldly dirt. I waited for an opportunity, then lunged at her in fury, wanting to tear at her throat, but she casually formed a hand seal, immobilized me, and pinned me to the ground. She sat beside me, looking down imperiously, her thumb and forefinger gripping my chin, her thumb caressing my jaw, as if observing an overreaching ant. Her voice was heavy. "Chu Yan, 300 years. You've learned bad habits from her." I knew she was referring to my earlier attempt to bite her. I had learned that from Evelyn. She actually forbade me from learning such things. She said I was a lotus from Silver Spring Loch. Mortal poets always say lotuses emerge from mud yet remain unstained. She said I was a lotus from Silver Spring Loch, and as long as she was around, no one in the Wolfe Clan could harm me. I didn't need to learn such things. Back then, I would squat in front of her and carefully wipe the blood from her face with a handkerchief. She would flinch for only a moment, then suddenly pounce on me, blood staining my white robes. She'd deliberately ask, "Are you scared?" I'd say I wasn't scared, and she would laugh and jump into my arms, nuzzling her temple against mine, praising me for being so brave, the bravest lotus spirit she had ever seen. But I wasn't brave at all. Evelyn's murderer was right in front of me, yet I couldn't avenge her. Perhaps I was too silent. A flicker of panic crossed Victoria's eyes. "Master didn't mean to blame you. From now on you'll stay by Master's side, and Master will teach you anew. Whatever you want to learn, Master will teach you, all right?" She released me and helped me sit beside her, yet still shackled my wrists with iron chains. She ladled a spoonful of dessert and brought it to my lips. "Chuyan, try this. It's the rose petal confection you used to love. See if it tastes the same as before." I lowered my gaze to the spoonful of rose petal confection near my lips, not moving. My eyes shifted back to her face. "Don't waste your effort, Celestial Master Hawthorne." She clenched her fists, her face paling slightly. "Call me Master." I ignored her words and said casually, "Even if you do nothing, even if I do nothing, I won't live much longer. Have you forgotten? I am a lotus spirit from Silver Spring Loch. Without its waters I cannot survive. But that pool, which had sustained me in the northern wastes for 300 years, she had long since burned dry." Victoria's face turned deathly pale in an instant. She abruptly stood up and kicked over the table in front of me. Food and bowls crashed to the floor. Her face dark and gloomy, she flicked her sleeve and left. The next time I saw her was 7 days later. I was curled up weakly on the floor, my breath faint, unable to even lift my eyelids. Victoria's expression was grave. She bent down, lifted me onto her back, and rushed into the back courtyard. She gently placed me into a pool of water, then jumped in herself, holding me by the waist. "Chuyan, it's Master's fault. I forgot you couldn't live without that water. Silver Spring Loch and the waters of the Stygian Spring share the same source. Master has brought you water from the Stygian Spring. From now on, recuperate well here. The Stygian Spring is guarded by ferocious beasts, all of them extremely vicious. Evelyn had once gone to fetch its water for me and had her tail bitten off by the beasts there. After returning, afraid I'd be sad that I couldn't stroke her tail anymore, she lied and said it would grow back. Later I used lotus root to fashion a new tail for her. She smiled until her eyes curved, held my face in her hands, and kissed me again and again. Chuyan is truly amazing. "Chuyan?" I lowered my gaze, struggled out of Victoria's embrace, leaned against the pool wall and submerged myself until only my head was above water. By the light in the courtyard, I then noticed a fresh claw mark on her face, running from the end of her eyebrow down to the corner of her lip, bleeding and not yet scabbed over. Victoria's expression softened slightly. "Don't worry, it's just a small injury. Master is fine. Truly ugly," I said. The expression on Victoria's face froze. I transformed directly back into my original form, closed my petals and curled up my leaves, refusing to listen or see. But I still noticed her abruptly rise and crush a stone in the courtyard to dust with her power. I wouldn't bloom, and Victoria would rage in the courtyard. In the end, she directly uprooted me from the pool, forced me back into human form, and dragged me before the mirror of past reflections. The mirror clearly showed the scene of Evelyn being burned alive by her in a sea of fire. Flames licked at her clothes, engulfing her. The slender figure that used to love clinging to me tried to curl into a ball in the inferno, but silver-hooked ropes flew at her from all directions, piercing her limbs, preventing her from moving. Her body was trembling. I knew she was in immense pain. As the wolf chieftain, Evelyn had often been injured before. She had many scars, and when I was so heartbroken I was about to cry, She would playfully nuzzle me with her furry head and say, "It hurts here, and here too. It will only get better if Chuyan blows on it." My pupils constricted, tears welling up uncontrollably in my eyes. I wanted to turn my head away, not to look. But Victoria forcefully held my head, not allowing me to turn away. A demonic voice sounded from behind me. "Look at her, Chuyan. Look at her carefully. When she was burning to death, wasn't she very ugly? Get away from me." The mirror of past reflections was silent, yet I seemed to hear the crackling of burning flames. My body trembled uncontrollably, but she held me fast, and I couldn't break free. Tears blurred my vision. I screamed hoarsely, punching and kicking at her. "You beast, Victoria, I'll kill you. How could you do this to her? How could you? You were the one who sent me away with your own hands. What right did you have? What right did you have to kill her?" I regretted Chuyan. She held me tightly around the waist, not letting me struggle, her head resting against my chin, her voice choked with sobs. "I regret it. I was wrong. Come back." But there was no going back. I forgot how long I had been imprisoned by her. My palm unconsciously caressed the wolf fang on the lover's knot. A faint cyan glow flickered and vanished. No one knew that a fragmented wisp of Evelyn's soul was attached to the wolf fang. Every night when I was alone, I tried to restore this wisp of her soul, but it was too shattered. Despite all my efforts, I couldn't mend even a fraction of it. Even so, this was the only connection left between me and Evelyn. This time, when Victoria took my hand, I didn't struggle. A flash of joy crossed her eyes. Her slender hand rested on my waist as she drew closer into my embrace, tilting her head up to kiss me. But I turned my head away, avoiding it. "I want to go for a walk." I stared steadily into her eyes. "Master, I want to go for a walk." Perhaps my deliberately feigned obedience these past few days had pleased her. For once, Victoria showed a genuinely heartfelt smile. "All right, Master will take you out." But she still followed me closely, her fingers aggressively forcing their way between mine, interlocking our hands. I couldn't find any chance to escape. We even ran into Ethan. He saw our intertwined fingers. A flash of jealousy crossed his face, quickly replaced by a slightly smug arch of his eyebrows at me. "Long time no see, senior brother. I thought you came out this time because you heard Master caught a remnant of the Wolfe Clan and wanted to pay a visit." I stared at him suspiciously. He crossed his arms and lifted his chin. Following his gaze, I saw a group of celestial soldiers pushing a prison cart. Inside, a young girl in white knelt, her hands bound behind her back, disheveled and covered in blood. As if sensing my gaze, the girl looked up at me. Instantly, it was as if a basin of cold water had been poured over my head, chilling me to the bone. Lily Wolfe, Evelyn's only sister. When Evelyn first brought me back to the Wolfe Clan, she was the first to welcome me. A tiny little figure, she stood on her tiptoes to hand me a flower crown she had woven herself. "Big brother, you're so pretty," everyone around was amused by her, and even I couldn't help but smile. Evelyn would tap her on the head. "That's called handsome, for a big brother serves you right for not studying properly with your tutor." She was the most timid and very clingy. A clap of thunder would send her crying and running barefoot into Evelyn's arms, insisting on sleeping with her. Evelyn would reluctantly poke her head. "All right, just this once, okay?" Then she would look at me apologetically, and I would have to take my bedding and sleep on the long couch outside, watching over them. Lily Wolfe's eyes were filled with tears. She silently mouthed something to me and shook her head. Only then did I notice her tongue was gone. Chuyan, by the time I reacted, I had already lunged out, tackled Ethan to the ground, and fiercely gripped his throat. Turning to Victoria, who was about to step forward, I snarled, "Let her go." I said, "Let her go. If you dare touch her, I'll kill him today." I used nearly 90% of my strength. Ethan's face turned purple from my grip. He could barely breathe, and his eyes were rolling back. But I was ultimately no match for Victoria. With a gentle lift of her hand, she pulled me back and restrained me by her side, unable to move. Ethan was helped up by a celestial attendant, dusted himself off, and glared at me in terror. Master, she's a Wolfe Clan remnant, colluding with demons to wreak havoc in the mortal realm. She must be killed. You're talking nonsense, I roared at him desperately. Our Wolfe Clan lived peacefully in the northern wastes. When did we ever go to the mortal realm? It's clearly you people. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Ethan flinched back, looking tearfully at Victoria behind me. Master. Victoria covered my mouth with a grim face. I could no longer suppress the violent rage in my heart and bit down hard on the flesh between her thumb and forefinger. My mouth filled with the taste of blood, but she seemed not to feel it. You belong to the celestial realm, not the Wolfe Clan. You must be careful with your words and actions in the future. Then she looked up at Ethan and said, "Take her away, you dare." I struggled with all my might, but suddenly my blood rushed upwards, my vision went black, and I fainted. When I woke up again, I was still in that palace. A group of celestial healers knelt in the room. Victoria sat by my bed, her face dark. You dared to secretly hide a Wolfe Clan spirit essence, and even injured your own spirit essence to this extent for her. Do you know your spirit essence was so weakened you almost died? I instinctively clutched my chest. The lover's knot was gone, fear instantly consumed me. I shot up and knelt on the floor. "No, don't, Master, I beg you, give it back to me. That's my last memento, I beg you." But she brushed my hand aside, turned, and said flatly, "The Wolfe Clan colluded with the demon realm. Under such a crime, not even half a wisp of her spirit essence can be allowed to remain." As she spoke, she raised her right hand. The bright red lover's knot dangled from her pale fingertips. In a desperate panic, I snatched the medicine bowl from a nearby celestial attendant's hand, smashed it, and picked up a sharp fragment, pressing it firmly against my own neck. Blood, from where I gripped the shard, trickled down my palm. Victoria's gaze flickered. Her hand clutching the lover's knot tightened, veins bulging on its back. "Victoria, this is the last thing I have of her. If you destroy it, I swear you will never see me alive again." Victoria turned abruptly, half her face falling into shadow, her eyes bloodshot. Like a demon's whisper, that voice sounded again. "Chu Yan, didn't you want Master to release that Wolfe Clan remnant?" My body trembled. I bit my lip hard, my hands, which had been clutching my knees, falling limply. Even if an arch-celestial came, there's no way to fully restore this fragment of her spirit essence. But that remnant is still alive, isn't she? Let Master take this and I'll let that remnant go. Lily Wolfe transformed into her original form, ran a few steps, then turned her head back to look at me, her round green eyes filled with reluctance to leave. I forced a smile for her and waved. Only then did she disappear in a flash towards the southern celestial gate. Ethan, standing nearby, clenched his fists, gritting his teeth, and muttered in displeasure, "Master, silence." This time, Victoria didn't coddle him. He looked disgruntled but didn't dare to act out further. I placed my palm over my heart. Inside, there was nothing left but emptiness. I couldn't keep Evelyn, and now I couldn't even keep her only remaining memento. My mind dazed, a wave of dizziness washed over me. When I came to my senses, Victoria was gripping my chin, forcibly pouring medicine into my mouth. It was bitter. The medicinal liquid trickled down the corners of my lips, soaking my clothes. Just when I could barely breathe, she released me and stuffed something else into my mouth. It was very sweet, dispelling the bitterness of the medicine, but it couldn't alleviate even a fraction of the bitterness in my heart. It's candied fruit. Victoria's voice sounded by my ear again, but I no longer had the mind to listen. In this life, I couldn't hold on to anything. 300 years ago, I couldn't hold on to Master. 300 years later, I couldn't hold on to Evelyn. Now I couldn't even hold on to the last thing she left me. I seemed to see Evelyn again. Am I dreaming? Otherwise, why would my arms feel so warm, just like when she was here? It's all right, Chu Yan. I'll always be with you from now on. You have me. But there was no from now on. Evelyn and I had no future. Perhaps out of guilt, Victoria moved me from the palace to her own chambers. My eyes were numb. I stared blankly out the door. I don't know when a shadow fell before me, a scent of blood wafting from the newcomer. "Senior brother, you're awake?" Ethan held a white wolf pelt in his hand, warm blood dripping from it. My body stiffened, as if struck by lightning. Impossible. Impossible. Victoria, she clearly promised me she would let Lily Wolfe go. As if seeing the horror and disbelief in my eyes, Ethan bent down close to me, dangled the wolf pelt before my eyes, and said with a provocative smile, "You recognize it, don't you? Master specifically had me capture this Wolfe Clan remnant. I figured you two were acquainted, so I brought her to see you. The little girl who, not long ago, had pestered Evelyn and me, wanting to be with us, now lay lifeless in Ethan's hands. My brain felt like it was being torn apart, my head splitting with pain. Ethan's gloating voice reached my ears. What, can't take it already? What if I told you that your wife, your clan, never colluded with demons? That it was all just a ploy by Master to bring you back to the celestial realm? They all died unjustly. And it's because of you, they died at Master's hands, senior brother. You are the true culprit. Hatred surged through me, so intense it felt like my organs were shattering, a deafening roar in my ears. "Shut up, I'll kill you." My eyes wide with fury, I shot up and lunged at him. Using the Wolfe Clan's most primitive hunting method, I viciously bit into his throat. Ethan hadn't expected my sudden outburst. He struggled frantically, screaming for help, and with all his strength pulled out a dagger from his waist and stabbed at me. My vision turned crimson. The pain in my body was bone deep. I felt like I was being stabbed into a sieve. I don't know how much time passed. Ethan stopped struggling and fell completely silent. It seemed someone pulled me away. But I couldn't see anything. I must have gone mad. I heard them shouting, "He's succumbed to demonic transformation, kill him quickly." When Victoria pulled me away, Ethan had already stopped breathing. I thought she would surely punish me. I had killed Ethan, her most favored disciple, and had turned into this neither ghost nor demon creature. But she didn't. She took my hand and pulled me into her embrace. I don't know why, but I felt her body trembling, and her voice too. "Chuyan, wake up, look at me, I'm Master, I'm..." "Victoria." I didn't struggle. I asked her, "Why did you lie to me?" "I'm sorry, Chuyan. I didn't expect you to undergo demonic transformation. I just wanted to bring you back." "Don't touch me. You're disgusting." "Just hold on a little longer, just a little longer. Master will take you to the celestial healers. Then you can go accompany them too." I raised my hand, pulled out the dagger Ethan had stabbed into my shoulder, and plunged it forcefully into her heart. Victoria didn't dodge. Her body stiffened, but she only held me tighter. Blood flowed from her chest, but she paid it no heed, only continuing to call out by my ear, "Wake up, Chuyan. Wake up and look at me, please." "I was wrong, Chuyan. I shouldn't have sent you to the northern wastes because of my own selfishness. I regret it. Chuyan, I love you. Open your eyes and look at me. Please look at me, all right? So noisy." I shook my head and, with the last of my strength, pushed the dagger in deeper. A metallic, sweet taste filled my throat, and I spat out blood. Then the only sound in my ears was Victoria's anguished cry, "Chuyan." I didn't die. I heard that Victoria had detonated her spiritual core, sacrificing her own spirit essence to pull me back from the gates of hell. The price was her complete annihilation, her soul scattered to the winds. But what use was it? I had nothing left. I left the celestial realm and returned to the northern wastes, alone. Spring passed and autumn came. The sun rose in the east and set in the west. The northern wastes underwent vast changes. Time and again I tried to use lotus roots to reconstruct their bodies, but it was futile. Their spirit essences had long been shattered by Victoria. I could only stare blankly at the forms I recreated. The wind and sand buried that scorched earth, and buried me along with it. Facing the rising sun, I seemed to see Evelyn, holding Lily's hand, waving at me. I waved back at her. "Evelyn, I'm coming to find you." Extra chapter. Victoria's story. I developed inappropriate feelings for the disciple I had raised with my own hands. It's disgusting. I myself am disgusting. 300 years ago, when he was drunk, I listened as he poured out his heart, and I nearly burned to ashes all the propriety, righteousness, shame, and ethics I had learned my entire life. He said he loved me, and how could I not feel the same? But he was my disciple. I taught him to take form, taught him to bring blessings to all living beings. He was young and naive and might not understand, but I, his master, had disregarded all moral principles and harbored base desires for him. I loathed myself, and by extension, I loathed him too. I tried to suppress these disgusting feelings. The arbiter of fate showed me a way to take another disciple and then send Chu Yan away. He said that after 300 years of constant companionship, it was inevitable to mistake dependence for affection. If I had another disciple by my side, perhaps I would see things more clearly. Yes, I could indeed see clearly. When I personally sent him to the northern wastes for the marriage alliance, I felt like I was drowning in jealousy. On what grounds? We had been together for 500 years. I knew all his preferences. On what grounds should I send him into the hands of an outsider? 300 years. For 300 years, the love I had deliberately suppressed did not disappear. It only intensified with the passage of time. I couldn't go to him, yet I couldn't stop myself from watching his every move in the mirror of past reflections. Watching him, who used to only smile so brightly for me, now holding Evelyn Wolfe, letting her act spoiled in his arms. Watching them embrace and kiss under the setting sun by the long river, him stroking her tail, whispering in her ear, "I love Evelyn Wolfe the most." Jealousy surged like a tide, completely engulfing me. He had clearly said that the person he loved was me. I had to bring him back. But I hadn't expected that after 300 years apart, his first words upon seeing me would be, "I'm not leaving." He said he wanted to stay, even if it meant death. 300 years in the northern wastes had fueled my longing to break free from its cage, yet it had worn away the last vestiges of hope he had for me. When I pulled him off Ethan, I could clearly feel his life slipping away, and I couldn't hold on to it. I could only let go,